I think we are going to be on. We're live. Okay,
We're
great.
live
Hey,
now.
all right.
Yay!
Hey, welcome everybody. We're waiting. We're waiting for our tech guru to come in. So, hi everyone. If you are watching this, well, I guess you're not watching it now, but when you will watch this, welcome to the third conversation. And I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Aljor, and we have our chef justice Honey, we have the coach Harvey, and the tech guru Francis, and our resident smart heart Wayne. And what the third conversation is basically, it's a conversation for possibility. It's a conversation for what's possible for this nation, for the Filipino people, and it came out of our commitment to to contribute and make a difference to the country. And why don't you guys just take over and say whatever you need to say, then I'll jump on. And
What's up?
that means you guys. Pe- People may be watching, maybe. Anyways,
Anyone?
hey, listen, we're all new at this, and especially for me, since I'm the one that's managing this StreamYard thing, so I'm a bit nervous. So you guys gotta help me out here. All right, so ayun na.
So, sino una magsasalita?
Yeah. Come on, just say why you're here, why are you
Sure.
part of this conversation, and you know, we begin from there.
So I'm
Ako
here.
na lang nga.
Okay, go
Sige,
ahead.
ikaw na, RV.
No, no,
Ako
no.
muna,
Go
yeah?
ahead, Wayne.
Ako, why am I here, diba? Like, we've been together since ECQ, the five of us. Diba? And it's
Yes.
always a joy, and it's always like you learn something new whenever we have conversation time, Dima. So, it's like the week is not complete without being together, and it just needs so much difference in our life. Like, to be with one another, and to be in a safe space wherein we can just be who we are and communicate, 'di ba? Communicate in a way where it's building something, it's creating something. Um, and it's fun. Ako na-enjoy ko na it's fun, it's open, and I'm safe to be vulnerable in this in this kind of conversation. So that's why I'm here.
And speaking
Great.
of building something, I think we all want to see a Philippines that is so much better than what we have now. A
Yeah.
country where, we don't have to worry about safety, where we don't have to worry about anything that will, like stop us from being productive. So things like that. I think initially we're exploring ideas on how to create a new Philippines. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And that we're
Right.
getting the best services from from our government, from our service providers, from the companies that are here, and that we're also likewise expecting those best services to come from them. And so we hold each other accountable to really create a country that works for its citizens. No.
Yeah. And conversation is something, we haven't seen each other physically in months, but the
Yes.
conversation that we've been having amongst ourselves and amongst, the friends, our friends, the conversations that are, like Wang said, meant to build up. There's some chismis,
Siyempre.
but it's also very interesting to be in a room with virtual room with people from different walks of life, with different perspectives, with a common aspiration to really have a conversation that from which possibilities can emerge. So that's why we're here, and we will
Yeah.
have some chismis sometimes.
Yeah,
Chismis.
because sometimes, at the times that we actually got together and had those conversations, sometimes we did come up with something, and it would have been great if we could have shared it with people. So this would be a good platform to actually be able to just converse, have a dialogue about what could work, what would be possible, and maybe somebody who's watching, whether they're watching us live or they will be watching the playback of this, could get some new perspective, um, that would empower them with regards to their life, with regards to their work, and just with regards to being here in this country. You know, I think for everybody else, I just want to say that this 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 kind of got reignited because I think it was 3 years ago when when we had that dinner, wasn't it, honey,
Yeah.
at Ricky's place?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just having a conversation about how people are so polarized
Right.
because of politics and things like that. Even our friends, friends that we knew, all of a sudden didn't start talking to each other and things like that. And so we realized that the prevailing conversation around is, who's right and who's wrong, just those two. And even if we look back at history, that's kind of like what happens, when the new administration comes in. They basically just make the past administration wrong, and it's really just a lot of pointing fingers. And the same thing I experience in business, since I do work with business. I do work with businesses. So at that dinner, we said, yeah, no, there should be a third conversation, a conversation about, what could work and what's possible, and maybe what's required is that people begin to listen to each other. And I have my own opinions, and I have pretty strong opinions, but I could listen to somebody else, and knowing that their opinion is just as valid as mine, and that could be a beginning of something. I don't know, but I'm standing for that people begin to start having conversations and listening to each other, and maybe as a collective, we could find solutions with all the things that we are dealing with here as a whole nation. So that's what I'm here. I want to engage in that inquiry. I want to engage in, you know, what's possible. I don't have any answers, but with the five of us talking, and maybe people can join us in the conversation and give us comments, and together we could something new could come up. That's my hopes and intention out of being in this conversation.
And I suppose, Alger, when you said, we're a polarized society, so we're not here to take sides,
Yeah,
whether it's political, religious, or whatever. We're not here to have a rigid point of view, and as you mentioned, we are here to listen to what other people have to say.
yeah. I mean, even amongst us, you see the world differently. Francis sees the world differently. I do see the world differently, and we do have differences in opinion, but yet we can step into other person's shoes, and take a look at the world from where we're at, and at least begin from there. I don't know the outcome, but that's at least the beginning. And you know, and I just think that if people begin to behave that way, politically or otherwise, and in business, and just with relationships, something becomes possible that maybe wasn't possible before.
And so inside of that, our goal is really to unite, to find common things that really unite us as a citizen or as a human beings, and really look for opportunities for how can one person not be right or wrong, and the other person is the other right or wrong, and really
Yeah,
find that way that can actually allow us to all work together.
right, right.
I think
Yeah, if
workability
we,
really is the key. Workability. It's very difficult. Polarization starts, I believe, when one camp thinks it's right and everything the other camp does is wrong. So there really is no healthy in between. There is no opportunity to dialogue. And I'm reminded every time, you know, just to say, none of the people I've ever since I started voting in the Philippine elections, none of my presidential candidates have won. And it's always when the turnover happens in Quirino Grandstand, there's always a sense of hope. Or maybe there's an exception in my case, but there's always a sense of hope that no matter you know, I didn't vote for this guy or this woman, and maybe he or she will be the answer to make this country work. There's always that space, that breathing space of hope that throughout the months and years and etc. gets polluted by disillusionment, by resignation, by cynicism, by again going back, making whoever the ruling party is wrong. So again, I've also, to be candid, I've also not found any ruling party uh, perform up to par. So I'm neither Dilawan, I'm neither PDS, and I'm
I got it.
to be
Yeah.
that space in
And
between for workability of this country.
you know what, honey? I'm so moved by what you said. Because if there's one thing common to all of us, it's really all our stand to make our country work. Like despite the heartbreak, despite the pain and the resignation and cynicism and what ifs and should be's, diba? This conversation is about working with what we have, with our what's so. If this is the condition, then as a citizen or us as friends, what can we do? What can we create to make it work? Like there's just so much loyalty and love for a country, despite and in spite of what's going on right now. I'm just so present to that. And yeah, I was sharing kanina, 'di ba, sa chat like how heartbroken I am with what's happening in the country right now. But then I realized I'm standing for a country that works because I have a son who will have a future in this country. And when I saw that, it just makes my heart like burst out again. Okay, there's like you can't stay being resigned. You need to do something for the country because myself is bigger than myself. I have a son who will live in this country in this future. So I'm just so thank you for saying that, honey, because it's opened up a space for me to wake up with that resignation and broken heart, and it's still there, right? But now, given the space we're creating, what can we do? What can we create inside conversation we're in? We can also awaken the heart of other people, of other citizens of this country, no, na multiple times a broken heart because of shads. So yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for that.
and Way, I think that's a great question that you brought up. Like, what can we do? It's just that, I think a lot of people are waiting for someone to save them. That maybe this new leader is going to save us, or maybe this new product is going to save us. So we're always looking for the answer outside of
Yeah,
ourselves.
Mm,
But I guess if we start looking within, then we might be able to figure out one small thing that we can do that could make a difference.
yeah,
right. And that's the same thing. This sort of illusory relationship with leaders in this country,
yeah,
and we always have this um, relationship that leaders are a certain kind of people, or
yeah,
a certain kind of people with specific characteristics, and we're not that. Okay,
yeah,
so we're depending on these kind of people to alter something, rather than really seeing that each and every citizen of this country could be a leader in their own life, in their own community, and aggregately, something could be made a difference with the country if everybody see themselves as that, rather than being so resigned and cynical about, well, that's for those guys to deal with, and I'm just a recipient of all the decisions that people make. So, what would it take to have that, and what would it take to have people first of all acknowledge their own resignation and cynicism, because one of the things that we do is, they always say, Pinoys are so resilient that they always make light of everything, right? To a point where we don't get impacted by our own resignation or cynicism, and it's huge. I mean, for me, just recently, just maybe like 3 years ago, I really had to confront how resigned and cynical I am about what's going on here, until I really got, my own resignation is complicit to what's happened. I'm adding to it because I'm so resigned about it. And
Yeah.
imagine multiply that by millions of people, right? It's like, oh my gosh, right? There's nothing else is possible. So I think the first thing is people got to begin to acknowledge and tell the truth. I'm so freaking resigned and cynical. And if I continue being like this, what's going to happen? Right. And I
And
think
here's, yeah,
so.
go
It's,
ahead.
it's like an awakening that's
For
Yeah.
required. I
for
don't.
for me, Aljur, one of the things that I get inspiration from is looking at a relationship, right? A relationship that works is when two people look at their concerns as the concerns of the relationship. And so
Yeah.
therefore both of them are standing for the relationship to work. And a country for me that works is when all the citizens look at them all as a stand for the country, and every single one of them making sure that the country in itself, in its totality, everything about it works as well.
Right. Yeah. It's being. I guess you can say ownership, taking ownership of the whole thing. Right. I don't know.
One of the indications of resignation that you've been talking about is it's shocking. Um, it's when a politician is seen to do his job, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden people are praising him to high heavens for doing his job, his or her job.
Right.
And well, like when you step back, it's like a breath of fresh air. But really, the in the background is resignation. People expect people who serve in government workers, politicians, people in power, not to do their job. So when somebody starts doing his job,
Right.
certain heads of local governments right now, people are praising them to high heavens as if they weren't supposed to do that in the first place, right?
Right.
They're surprised and relieved, and everybody wants to move to that city. So for me, that's the depth of resignation.
Right. Right. The
Wow, I didn't
the,
see it that way, honey.
the bar is
I didn't
so
see it that
lowered.
way. I'm one of the go gaga. Wow, galing! Lahat ng teachers may tablet. Wow, ang galing. But yeah, I didn't see it that way. That's how resigned and cynical mamamayan are.
Yes. Yes.
And we
And
didn't.
But
that's
Yeah,
sort of hidden. That's like a hidden thing where it's like a blind spot, right? We
yeah.
get so excited about somebody just doing their job. We get excited about somebody at work who just shows up on time. It's like
Mm,
things like that. The bar has gotten so freaking low,
yeah,
right? That we get excited over things that ought to be just normal.
yeah.
another perspective, honey, on resignation I notice is when we don't hold people to account when they don't do what they say they will do.
Yes.
And also on the other side of it, right, when they do say what they when they do what they say they will do, we don't also praise them or at least acknowledge them for that, right? So there is also some ownership from our side to do both, to then hold our leaders to that level of integrity that we need them to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Or when do what they said they would be doing, we there's also some cynicism in the background. Like, yeah, what's there's but we're not telling the story. Like tomorrow you're going to take back what you said, or you're gonna pull the rug. There's always some suspicion.
Yeah,
There's
It's almost like we're just waiting, right? We're waiting for the
yeah,
wheels to come off, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess today's topic is resignation and
Yeah,
cynicism.
I guess so.
Right.
But I think it's a good one. Years ago when I first moved here, and I was speaking to someone who was our guest, who's an American guy and who's been around and talked to a lot of people, and basically what he said, there are three things that he saw that was missing. One is a lack of integrity, as a whole in general. One, lack of integrity. The second thing is that there's deep resignation and cynicism with people. And then the third one is that there's no future, which
Mm.
is which is a function of the resignation and cynicism. People are not related to an empowering future. So people are so myopic in their view. Okay, and that's why you pretty much get a lot of get it done now, get it done in any way you can, because it doesn't really matter. And I just had a thought the other day that maybe what it takes is to take a stand for something way beyond our own lifetime, and that's what's going to take. Because if I'm just going to look at the current circumstance right now, and I'm looking at, no matter what we do, nothing's ever going to change, at least not in my lifetime. So then, if I only think that way, I would just say, okay, well, then I would just throw my hand up, right? But maybe what's required is that people, us and others, think beyond our own lifetime to really see
Yeah.
the alteration or creating this new model of future for this country. Maybe that's what's required, because you know
And I think, yeah. And you know what, Aljor, if I'm going to think of that future just for myself, it's not empowering for me. Kasi this is happening in the current situation and I'm okay and I'm fine.
mm,
Okay naman ako, quote unquote, right? But I guess what woke me up from my resignation and cynicism is the question, do I want to leave this kind of country for my son? Like
yeah,
it goes beyond my lifetime. It had me question also my choices. Like I'm a mother, and I would want to live to work on a country that will work for my son's future. It's not like now it's normal. It's normal na may kausap ka, magma-migrate kami dito, pupunta kami dito, or paano ko magma-migrate sa ibang bansa, and it's acceptable. Kasi yun, ako, I realize, okay, mas nag-work yung country na yun kesa dito, right? Right? But, I agree with you that I think in this conversation, it's really an opportunity to take a look at a future beyond ourselves.
yeah,
Kasi kung dito lang masyadong mababaw yung game, eh. But if it's beyond myself, if I'm going to fight for a future that works for my son, it's a different playing field, 'di
yeah.
ba? Like yung greatness ng pagkananay ko talagang lalabas. I'll start with our barangay captain.
I mean, it's almost like we almost are going to create that we're not going to see
Yes.
it, right? Like really
Yes.
create for ourselves, like all whatever we're going to take, whatever action we're going to take, we're never going to see the fruit of it. But maybe the next generation or the next generation after that, we will. It's just a matter of moving the dial just a couple of degrees, and maybe it'll make a big difference in the future. you
And
know
some of the greatest people in history have never seen, did not see the fruition of
mm,
what they were working towards, like Gandhi or Martin Luther King.
That's
mm,
You
right.
know, great people, Ninoy Aquino, um, heroes, Rizal. Although I know, I'm sure he'd be turning over in his grave after what we've done to the country since he was killed. So, but yeah, it's just a matter of working towards. And I think also the converse of that is that people think that because they're not going to see the fruits of or the fruits and the consequences of what they're doing right now, it doesn't really matter.
right,
They're gonna
that's the
die
whole
soon,
resignation, right?
right? They're gonna die soon, so might as well make a lot of money,
Yeah. Get
ravage
as
the
much
earth.
get as much as I can.
Yeah, get as much
To,
as I can. Which the weird thing is, you can't take it with you anyway.
to heck with the
So
environment.
right, right. It's like destroy the earth as much as I can, since I'm gonna die in a few years anyway. So, but that's very inspirational that when is creating something at least for the next generation. I have to apologize, because my generation is the one in power. Well, most of my generation anyway. I have to apologize to the younger generations, to my students, for effing the world up. Like we were supposed to be the idealists, we were supposed to be the change makers, we were supposed to
Mm.
lead properly, and we're not doing that as a generation. So I have to apologize for that.
And honey, I acknowledge you for such powerful, powerful choice to acknowledge that to your student. Like it takes a lot of courage, strength, and level of responsibility to do that, because it's not easy, right? Like, it just breaks, it just it's better to be safe. And I think that is what is not working right now. It's better to be safe and comfortable than really see it eye to eye. That you need to apologize to your student because your generation, our generation, is not doing what we're supposed to do. Like,
Yeah.
we're really more on me, myself, my family. As long as we're okay, I don't care about other things. So,
Mm.
it takes, and I think that's also an opportunity for this conversation to really acknowledge and see, despite the pain, despite the disappointment and anger of what's happening, and just get it for what it is without making it wrong. So thank you very much for that, honey.
So what I'm hearing from you guys is we tend to look at the present moment only. We don't think so much about the future. And then we also tend to look only at ourselves or our immediate concerns like our family. We don't care about the consequences of that to other people. So like you said,
Yeah.
Alger, it's so myopic. It's really just this thing. And I suppose as a nation, we can't really see beyond time and space. We're so limited, maybe even to
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
own identity, to our own ego,
Right.
and just satisfy the ego to the detriment of the future
Yeah.
and to the detriment
You know,
of
one
other
of the
people.
Yeah.
future conversations I'd like to have with you guys, and maybe the next coming week, is that our our cultural mindset or our mindset as a people. Like,
Mm.
Yes.
okay na yan, or the Filipino is resilient. You know, there are many things that the Filipino is known for, uh, and it might be time to alter that.
Yeah.
Like, okay na yan. Okay na, okay na, okay na. Pwede na siya. Eh, ganyan naman talaga eh. You know, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Fatalistic outlook, you know, all of those things that might not,
Right.
that might be in the way of us progressing as a people.
Yeah.
Right. But then if you look, you can't blame people because pretty much everybody else that tried to do anything, failed. As a matter of fact, as I'm listening to us, you know, I I'm also saying now, and I just want to speak it out. Like, this is not a new conversation, right? People we know, people in the past, in the '60s, in the '70s, have, some of them have really, gave their life to create something new, and yet here we are, right? So what do you think is going to be different? What was missing with those conversations that maybe we could enroll others in creating, such that it will be a different model altogether, instead of, um, because just, I mean, people have done many things, even post World War II. Historically, people stood for a country that works and a better future, so on and so forth, right? I mean, we even know people right now that, were in those movements, and yet, we're exactly where we are. So I'm just inquiring, what else, what's going to be different.
Alger, as you asked that question, like two
Mm,
things came to mind. One is, there's this guy that I think we all know, Bjorn
mm,
Martinov, and he wrote a book, and he said that, if you take a look at the history of the
mm,
Philippines, all of the people who spoke up, all of the people who stood for something, they got killed.
mm.
And so somewhere in the Filipino psyche, there is the fear of standing out because you're gonna get cut down, you're gonna get chopped.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and
that's not
and
that's
then
not just Philippines, though. I think it's around the world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's I think that's not yeah that's yeah that's one of the impact, right? That's one of the consequence, I guess. But even
At the time of Jesus Christ, RV.
yeah, I don't know if that's the deterrent. I think So it's some. I think it's something else. How do we get people behind it, such that the conversation doesn't stay with a small group of people? How do
But you know
we?
what? I'm sure conversations like this are being replicated in groups of people, amongst groups of people. Amongst in my own group of friends, these conversations are going on, right? Um,
Hmm.
Maybe one thing that we have right now, our conversation, is there is some kind of direction, there is an intention, and there is reach. What the
Hmm.
benefit we have right now is um, it's you see, tech guru, is it still the digital age? What is this age? Parang digital age, parang panahon pa yan ng ano. But yeah, we have reach.
It's the fourth industrial revolution still.
Oh, but information, this
Or
conversation, I don't know how many people it will reach, but conversations, it's so easy to disseminate information, good or bad, uh, in a very short span of time. And I don't know. That might be one of our advantages.
I, I think to Chef Justice's point, no, the technology is different now. The technology, we've seen how destructive it can be, but we have not yet seen how creative it can be. How much it can bind us all together. Because a lot of people I've worked with, I can tell you they love this country. I can tell you they love their own country. And really it's a matter of harnessing that love and getting it to be the conversation at the nationwide scale. And I think conversation like that happens now with technology. And so this is one, right? But then imagine multiplying this by more and more conversations happening through various chat groups, through various media, and being able to relay that message of, hey, we all love our country. Now what do we do about it?
Yeah, I think it needs to be present in cross cultural, cross segments of society, and because usually when I hear things like this, it usually happens with like a niche group of people, and then others don't really have much information about it or really care much about it. So, what would it take to have these conversations be available at all levels of society, and especially the marginalized ones? How do we get that conversation over there and have it be nurtured? First of all, created there and nurtured, and be part of the regular conversation. Okay, because one thing I know is that when you're marginalized and you're in poverty, you don't have a conversation about the future. Okay, this is a conversation just to survive for the day or for the week or whatever, right? So it's going to be very difficult to shift that paradigm. Right? The hell are you talking about? Thinking about the future of this country? I gotta find food for the day. I gotta find food for
you
so
know,
that I survive for tomorrow. So
I-
what's going to work? And unfortunately, that's a majority of our people. That's a big portion of our population are those people. So how do we alter the paradigm?
I was having a conversation yesterday with my best friend, and her passion is education.
Mm,
And from what you said, not only is the Philippines one of the lowest performing countries in Southeast Asia in English and math, or math and
mm,
science, we are also the country with the lowest growth mindset. Meaning to say, our kids right now, they don't see a future beyond what is. They don't
exactly.
see anything beyond, the poverty that they're living in, which is heartbreaking. They
Yeah.
don't see a future worth living into. So again, that goes back into, the daily grind and just the monotony, same old, same old. So for me, that's the first time I heard about that. I had a suspicion that that was, maybe there, but it was measured.
Mm,
So it's heartbreaking.
Hey, honey, I want to hear
yeah.
from you guys, and maybe also hear from our listeners on this podcast. If you can comment, when you hear the word Philippines and the promise of the Philippines and the future of the Philippines, what comes to mind? What is that highest possibility that you see the promise of the Philippines offer
Yeah,
or can offer?
yeah, yeah. That's good. It's a good question, and because we need to be able to see different perspectives of people. Okay? I mean, I have a different perspective than you guys since I've only spent half of my time here. How do we educate those people you're talking about, honey, to alter that? And it's going to take a massive undertaking with enrolling others to make this happen.
To
See,
answer,
when you look at it, it's really,
go ahead.
sige, sige, ano.
There you go na,
Ako, I like, sige, I like the question
Francis.
of tech guru about when we say Philippines, what's the first thought that comes to your mind, despite what's happening? And what comes to mind, matic that comes to mind is, meron akong dugo ng bayani. 'Di ba? Meron akong agimat. Bilang Pilipino, meron akong agimat. Hindi ko alam kung paano natin siya i-translate. But that's the automatic that comes to mind. We were conquered 300 years ago by the Spaniards, and still here we are. We have a beautiful country, like Europeans go to our country because of the beauty of our beaches, the hospitality of the people, right? And being resilient, 'di ba? Resilient. We are welcome across the world when it comes to hospitality services because by nature, 'di ba, we're caring. Meron talagang ano I agree meron talagang bayani sa dugo natin. Na kahit na bumabaha na marami pa ring jokers na lumalabas, 'di ba? We make fun of things that's happening around us. So, yeah, there's bad, hindi naman bad, pero may nakaka-heartbroken, pero meron ding mga points na nakakapagpangiti when I say Philippines. So I think for now, given the question na how do we move things forward from here, for me, for me, it's just really the recognizing the bayani in my blood, the agimat in my culture. Just to find that inner stand that, my heritage has gone through a lot and here we are, right? And when you look at each and every family, you know that the center of their family is love. You know that the parents are working hard abroad to bring money to their children because the core of our culture is really love and family. So yeah, yun.
Uh, I have some thoughts about what you said. Let me simmer that.
Ako din.
Let me let it simmer.
I'll stop my cam first. You know what I'm gonna do. So,
What's that?
We know what
Are
you're
but
you
I'm
gonna
doing.
you're
here.
gonna create Reliano?
I'm creating Reliano.
Oh man. Yeah. If you're watching this on the replay, please say replay, and we welcome your comments to the conversation. And if you like the conversation and you want to see more of it, press the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, The Third Conversation. All right, there goes my little advertising for us. All right, so yeah, but see, okay, so I got all the
Hey, we
things
have
that you
some
said.
comment.
I got everything you said that wouldn't it be better that they don't have to leave? I mean, I get that.
Yes,
That's very courageous. But
yes,
why do they have to leave?
yes,
Why don't we create something here such that
yes,
people don't have to split up their families so that their parents can go abroad, or the
yes,
mom, or the dad. So that's, to me, that's still a way to survive the condition, right? Instead of looking at what's it gonna take that we here have the same quality of life as the other developed nations around us, such that we don't have to ship our people abroad so that they can make money, because over here there's no opportunity. What would it take to have those opportunities be available here? Again, I don't have the answers.
I
Can I
remember. Oh, go ahead, Francis.
can I just share something? This is my wife's favorite line in our national anthem. buhay ay langit sa piling mo. In English, it's life is heaven with you, right? And
Mm,
this is really talking about the country. Life is heaven with you. And what does it take to make this a paradise for every single person here, living in
yeah,
this country?
right.
Have education for all, have the health for all. And this there's loss now, right? So really now the question is just let's make it happen. Let's give it all to our people and let's make it happen.
Yeah, and nobody seems to be speaking that. I would vote for a politician who would say that, at least say that,
Right.
and act
Yeah,
on.
I see. I mean, I've been here now for almost 20 years, right? And I've watched leaders, our leaders, come and go, and I haven't really heard anyone who is enrolling people into a particular kind of future. It's so missing. There's nobody saying we're gonna put a man in the moon and bring him back before the end of this decade. That kind of talk, that kind of conversation, like what's possible. This is what I'm standing for. Maybe, maybe what we could do is make sure that there's somebody like that.
Right, right.
Right. And what would it take to do that, right? What would it take to do that? I mean, like, how do you groom somebody like that? And
You know,
because it's gonna require a particular kind of leadership
yeah,
to create a conversation that everybody can align with, and then it makes it available, and then people can ride with that and things like that. But if some nobodies like us are having these conversations, and but there's no support in the environment in which this conversation exists, it will die.
Yes.
Because you can't create a conversation for possibility in an environment where there's no possibility. Well, everything is right and wrong, everything is a make wrong, right? So yeah, so hmm,
yeah.
that's an
And coming
idea.
about Padugong Bayani, what Wang said, yeah, I believe that, and it's very in
It's
times of
blood of heroes, huh? Blood of heroes.
yeah, land of the morning, child of the sun returning, with fervor burning, thee do our hearts adore. Diba? The English
Yeah,
translation international, land born of a cradle of noble heroes. Diba? The
yeah,
Yes.
blood of heroes runs through us, all of us. Except that, in times of peace, we are a nation of warriors. However, in times of peace, we war with each other. We're at war with each other. It's the remarkable thing. It's when the greatest tragedies happen, like the World War, or when of course during the war you have to fight. But when Ondoy happened, anniversary was just 2 days ago. People got together, and real heroes. So it's a waste of our blood to be at war with each other. Politically, ideologically, there's no, the enemy is not us. And the fallout, the casualty is the Philippines. No one else
Yes.
is suffering, but us also in this infighting, in this, politicking, in this making making one political party or the other one wrong, making another your fellow human being. Would you actually go out into the streets? I'm in the marketplace twice a week, and have a would I actually be willing to go up in arms against somebody who's my favorite Suki just because he or she has a different
because
ideology?
they have the wrong color.
They have the wrong color, diba?
Yeah, yeah,
So it's that's the greatest tragedy. That's divided our country for way too long. In
way
my
too long.
opinion.
And I think in this is the kind of conversation that we need to address that, the right and wrong, the bad and good, right? I get what you said about that, and that's why we're in this, di ba? Kaya tayo nandito sa conversation ito is what would it look like, di ba? If ikaw ay ibang kulay, we're from different colors, and yet this is how the conversation looks like. Like, even if I don't agree with you, I'm willing to take it down and go to your world to understand where you're coming from. And from
Right,
there, I can create compassion kasi I realize you were a victim, or your family was a victim before. That's why you're fighting for this fight. Something like
right,
that,
right.
right? Like, and this is, I think this is, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the purpose of our conversation,
Yeah.
to really allow the conversation to be without taking sides.
Yeah.
And yeah, uh, ako what I'm getting from what you're saying, it's really me awakening my own heart. Like it's been
Talagang
broken
smart heart
before,
talaga
but
siya, no?
yeah, kaya ako smart heart eh. Yeah, like
Smart heart
it's
talaga.
really awakening my heart, awakening the hero in my blood, right? And really embracing my morena skin, my being a Filipino and owning it
Mm.
because there's nothing else eh. Like this is the land of my birth. So wala, I don't have a choice. But yun. I'm just so moved.
No, it's not that you don't have a choice. I think you just chose to be you, right?
Yes, and now I'm being present. How proud I am with my heritage. Like
Yeah.
I'm being present to, yeah, my ancestors has gone through all of that, and we're still here, right? And yeah, I'm being present to that.
And so instead of what Smartheart said, we will have guests in the future. We will invite people from all sides, all walks of life, all colors of life, and with one clear intention: standing for reconciliation, standing for the country, being able to create a third conversation that empowers and allows us all to take action.
Right. And it won't be all serious.
Oh
Talk
yeah,
about
that's true.
we'll talk about
Yeah,
Filipino food. We'll talk about showbiz. I don't know, Filipino movies, telenovelas. If you watch those. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
let's
Yes,
also, find sources of pride.
yes,
Yes. Yes. I mean,
yes,
this is our first episode, and I'm really looking forward when people begin to start engaging with us, and we have somebody now.
I,
I didn't even realize that was scrolling.
I want to acknowledge Liz. Liz, thank you for joining from the US. Appreciate you with your
yeah,
Yeah, I
comments.
didn't realize it was scrolling. I just responded to her just now, like, oh, there's somebody there. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. So um, can't wait. And yeah, if you're watching this on a replay, we invite you. We're here every Tuesdays, 7:30 p.m. Manila time, and join us in the conversation and uh, give us your perspective on the conversations that we're having, and engage with
So,
us in this dialogue.
so Aldra and everyone, I want you to. I'd like to get your reaction to the comment that Liz shared here. Many of the current economic, business, and political policies and protocols foster the experience of scarcity and conflict. Again, the evolution of systems can support the improvement.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, everything we've been talking about right now are the symptoms of that societal ill that I was talking about, and that's kind of like what's on the surface of the iceberg, and underneath it are the structures that are in place, paradigms of thought, and who people are. And unless we actually deal with that, unless we actually go with what created the symptoms, then things will continue to happen over and over and over again.
Yes.
So yeah, totally agree with Liz on that.
Hi, RJ. RJ Musa is watching. Hi. Hi
Oh,
to you,
hey
everyone.
guys, thanks RJ.
Yeah, and to
So
add to what Alger said, so one of the ills right now, I'm gonna call it an ill because it's a fact, is corruption. And that comes from scarcity, a scarcity mentality in our economic system, political system. There's not enough to go around. Well, some people who are corrupting themselves
yeah,
believe that. So it's always me first, mine. And that's another thing I'd like to talk about, RV. What the scale of Filipino traits that you showed to us a few months ago. One thing about I can say about Filipinos is there seems to be a me first mentality. So again, comes from the scarcity mindset. Like I gotta get there first. I gotta make lamang in traffic. I gotta get
yeah,
more money. I gotta get advantages in life, even if I have to go through the back door. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think again that's like a symptom of this no future. Everything's I gotta get it now, Not, nothing's gonna be any different anyways. So why
Yeah.
not? how do we alter that? How do we create that conversation, right? I mean, this
I
is
know.
well, I think what we're doing here is
Yes.
one aspect of it.
Right.
And if we could create these conversations with organizations and businesses, that's one aspect of it. But it needs to be all over. Wherever you look, the conversation is this kind
Patrick!
of
Ay,
conversation is to be
sorry.
present. What's that? What's happening?
May
She's
ipis
like,
na lumilipad, kaya I need to call my backup hero in the background.
Ipis, flying ipis, the bane of tropical countries, flying cockroaches.
See? That's
flying
why this
ipis.
conversation is fun, di ba? May ipis sa labas. There's a cockroach
Flying.
flying.
Welcome
I
to the
need to call
Philippines.
my hero to get it fixed. Sorry about that.
That's cute.
Yeah, so sorry, Mr. Monk. Sorry for cutting you off, but before that, what I got to realize is by doing this conversation, it got to awaken some of the belief we have that we didn't think before. Like I'm sure in the past, like whenever we would hear a nationalistic song, we know that we have heroes in our blood, right? But because of what's happening, like you resigned about the country. But in this conversation, reawakening that, it really, I feel something in my heart. Kaya kasi smart heart. But it awakens a part of my heart. Like, oo nga naman, oo nga naman, oh. Yeah, that's right. I have a gimat in my blood. So anyway,
We have
that's my segue because of the
What is
commercial.
what is a gimat in English?
It's a talisman.
Oh, talisman. Okay.
Yeah, to protect us against
So that's the same as anting anting? Is the same
Yes,
thing? A gimat
yes,
anting anting. Okay, I know
yes.
anting anting. I don't know a gimat.
yeah.
All right, great.
New word for you, Aljor, a boy.
What, what's that?
New word in Aljor's Filipino.
Yes, a gimat.
Gimat.
I know a bar around here. It's called a gimat. I didn't know what that. I didn't know that's what it meant.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I mean, for me, I just wanted to acknowledge my own. Just even. I mean, for a long time, it's funny because, because of what I do, it seems like I'm not resigned and cynical. But, looking back and also in preparation for our conversations, I really had to look back and really had to tell the truth. And I could see that I have been resigned and cynical about being here. I mean, in some way, I still relate to myself like I'm just still visiting. Like I have a back door, so that's my resignation, and I really had to kind of call one on myself in that area that it's not really mine. So I think
Oh,
for
hi,
for
Joel.
me, yeah. For me personally, I'm acknowledging that with the intention to say, this is my conversation and fully,
There's
no
a
more no
question.
no more back door. Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's a question from my friend Joel Vera. Joel from UP College of Mass Communication in the 80s. Hi,
Okay. So
Joel.
could you answer that?
Oh,
Since
you guys.
since
RV.
huh?
RV,
You're
want to hear
see,
your beautiful voice.
Joe said we're an eclectic group. How
Yeah.
the hell did we get together?
I think we all met at AIM sometime in the past. I think
Yeah,
that's what
we
brought
all
us
we all
together. Or Alger brought us
we
together.
all participated in a particular education that made a difference in our lives, and through the years we just became friends, and just recently we came together again, and our commitment to make a difference to this country sort of got lit up again, and we began conversation 3 months ago, 3 4 months ago maybe, because of the COVID-19, and this is one of the results. Is, hey, we've been talking a lot. Why don't we bring this conversation into a platform where people can hear? Maybe they can get something out of our conversations. So that's why we're doing this. And you're absolutely right. We're pretty eclectic. Under normal circumstances, we probably won't be. We probably won't know each other. We won't run. We won't run in the same circles, right? and we still don't. But because of that tie, that's like our common thread. So
So a great man once told me that if you're standing for the same future, by that virtue, you are friends. And this
mm,
eclectic group of people, and a lot of you guys watching, standing for the greatness of this country and the promise of this country, of it's heaven to be with you, right? Life is heaven to be with you. We are all friends,
Yeah.
and
mm.
that's what we are standing for in this third conversation.
Yeah, if
And
we could all have friends around, around the country, around the world, standing for future of a world, not just of a country, a world that works.
Yeah,
Just give me
yes.
world of world.
I don't care if it's a third world country anymore. I don't care if you become a first world country. I just want a country, a world that works.
So I guess before we end, what was your empowering question, Tech Guru, about what our audience will think when you say Philippines? Ano nga yung question mo?
What's
Yes,
the
Yeah,
paulit.
say it again.
what for you is the future? What future is evoked when you hear the word? What is the promise of the Philippines for you? What is the
Right.
promise
Yes.
of the Philippines for our kids and for the kids yet to be born in this country? What do we want to
Right.
stand for as a future that we will create for the people of this land?
That's beyond our lifetime.
That
Okay,
could be
that's
beyond our lifetime. Yeah.
beyond our
Yeah.
lifetime. So yeah, if
Perfect.
I request that when you answer that question, you open your heart, you be present to the heroes in your blood, and really reflect on it. I think what will make a difference is when we really ask and be authentic with our feelings. And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be disappointed, right? But it can spark hope, and if it can spark a powerful future for our country, then that's a good moving forward.
All right.
Great.
Anybody else want to say one last thing? We're going into our hour now.
Yep. No. Stick
No.
around.
Like
No.
and
No.
subscribe.
Come
Okay.
back next.
So
Let's
that's
subscribe.
that's our 1 hour.
Click
So
the button over there.
we're gonna say we're gonna say good night, goodbye, good afternoon, good morning if you're in the US. Don't forget to subscribe or like if you want to hear more of these conversations. But we'll take on an issue every week and kind of bring in our own perspective to the issue. And thank you for watching. And if you're gonna be watching this on replay, thank you for watching it on replay. Let us know that you're watching it on replay. Bye. See you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for watching. If you'd like to hear more of these conversations, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and also please give us a like and watch for these videos to get to know a little bit more about who we are. Again, thank you and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.